Welcome back, everyone. It's time for us to compare the iPhone 10 and the iPhone XS in the year of 2022 and see which specific phone you should go and pick up. Now, if you have the money, I would go for the XS, but I would honestly recommend buying an iPhone 13 or something. But both these phones will be linked down in the description. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now, side by side, you can actually tell they are almost identically the same. And if I didn't tell you earlier which one was which, you probably couldn't tell the difference. The iPhone 10 with that 5.8-inch AMOLED display was very good, OLED display, whatever you want to call it. It was a very good panel, and I was a big fan of when this phone came out, and it's crazy because of how beautiful this phone still looks, and when you compare it to the iPhone 13s, it's pretty insane how relevant this design still is. Maybe looking a little bit dated because of some things very soon, but I think the iPhone 10 still looks very beautiful. Now, with something like the iPhone XS, pretty much the same 5.8-inch OLED display as well, there really wasn't that big of a difference from the 10 to the XS. I heard there was like some, brightness level changes or something, but I don't really think it was that crazy of a deal. And I think with something like the iPhone XS, you are still getting a very good panel. The build quality still feels really good. And to be honest, there are still so many similarities between these phones that if the XS were to outlast the iPhone 10 in software, I would be totally curious why. Now, in terms of thinness and thickness, they're pretty much almost the same exact thing. I do have a skin on the back of my XS, which makes it seem a little bit thicker, but they were pretty much almost the same exact thinness and thickness, to be honest. And on the back, we have glass backs on both. I do have a skin on my XS, and we have a dual camera setup on both as well, which is pretty much almost the same exact thing. We have wireless charging on both, back tap features, USB Type-C on the bottom of both of these, no headphone jacks or anything, but still both very premium feeling console, but still both very premium phones for sure. And I don't feel like, one of these phones is cheaper or anything like that. So in terms of the outside, that pretty much covers it. Now, in terms of longevity, this is another pretty big thing to keep in mind. With something like the iPhone 10, it came out in 2017, and it looks like this phone may not be lasting probably forever, but it's still going to be getting software support for the time being. It's turning 5 years old this year, which is so crazy, but I don't think it's going to last like way less than something like the iPhone XS. With the XS, I think this is a really good phone still too, but the thing is that the XS and the 10 have so many similarities that I just don't see how something like the iPhone XS could be super long lasting, and the iPhone 10 is not super long lasting. I think the iPhone 10 and the XS are probably going to last the same amount of time. Again, I could be totally wrong, I've been wrong before, but that's just something that makes sense to me. So in terms of software longevity, I don't think one of these phones is going to outlast the other one by a lot, but it could happen, I don't know. But as of right now, it doesn't seem like it. So in terms of software, that covers it. Now let's go and do a speed comparison between both these phones. The iPhone XS and the iPhone 10 are both on iOS 15. The iPhone 10 had that Apple A11 Bionic chip inside of it with 3 gigabytes of RAM, where the iPhone XS has that Apple A12 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go and see which one is the faster iPhone between both of these. Okay, there we go. A little bit darker on both sides, but totally okay. I had to do it on them. Now let's go in. All the apps are clear on the background, so let's get into it. 10s is here. iPhone 10 is here on the right. Phone calls 3, 2, 1. Pretty much the same thing, not a big difference there. Music 3, 2, 1. And the iPhone 10 actually loaded that one up faster. And the iPhone XS was on a different panel, so we'll just kind of load that one in the background. Let's do their app stores. 3, 2, 1. And the iPhone XS was faster there. Scrolling through here, let's see if there's a difference. And I don't really think there's that big of a difference, but still very cool. Hopping out of this one. Let's go and get into their cameras. 3, 2, 1. And pretty much the same thing, not a big difference. Clock, 3, 2, 1. I think the iPhone XS was slightly faster there. Photos, 3, 2, 1. Pretty much the same thing too. Hopping out of this one, let's go into stocks, 3, 2, 1. XS was faster there. iPhone 10 a little bit behind. As always, we can go and get into some of these third-party applications, which I have a lot of. Let's go and get into Facebook. 3, 2, 1. XS was faster. Hopping out of this one, let's do Twitter. 3, 2, 1. Actually, iPhone 10 was a little bit faster there. That was very surprising. Let's do Stack. 3, 2, 1. And the XS was faster there by a little bit to get into that ad. Let's go and get into Snake versus Blocks. 3, 2, 1. And it looked like I clicked an app there, but it didn't. That was weird. XS actually faster here by a little bit, but very close on both. There wasn't really and the iPhone 10 actually crashed that app, so I don't know why that happened here. We are on 15.4 on both of them, so that was actually very weird. I don't know what happened there. Let's do Dropbox. 3, 2, 1. XS was faster there by a little bit. Let's do Snapchat. 3, 2, 1. iPhone XS was a little bit faster there. Twitter, which we've already done. Netflix, 3, 2, 1. The iPhone XS was faster there. Hopping out of this one, Temple Run 2, 3, which we do have it, 3, 2, 1. And I still don't know why Snake versus Blocks crashed on the iPhone 10. That really doesn't make too much sense to me, but I guess there's nothing we can do about it. And it looks like the iPhone XS is actually a little bit faster than the iPhone 10. I wasn't actually expecting there to be a really big difference between them, but I'm actually seeing a steady difference, which I think is a really good thing to see. Let's do Quizlet, 3, 2, 1. The XS is faster, followed by the iPhone 10. Let's end it off with Thank You, 3, 2, 1. And you can see again the iPhone XS is the faster one here. So consistently, I think the iPhone XS has been the faster one between both of these, which is a really good thing to see in my opinion. It is the newer phone. I actually wasn't expecting to see this big of a difference, but there was actually quite a bit of a difference between these two phones. So if you're wanting an iPhone that's a little bit faster, I would probably go for something like the iPhone XS. It seems to be faster. You are also getting an extra gigabyte of RAM, so it's going to help in the RAM management side of things too, I think. So in terms of that, that covers it up there. Now let's go ahead and hit on the cameras. Now, as I mentioned, dual camera setup on the back, a wide angle lens, and a telephoto lens. We can do 4K at 60 on the back of both of these, but we can only do 1080p at 30 on the front of the iPhone 10, and we can do 1080p at 60 on the front of the iPhone XS. Now, of course, I've said this for a while now, but the iPhone XS camera I think was really good for that time. Unfortunately, now it is starting to show its age. You still have things like, video mode, slow-mo, portrait mode, all this good stuff. Unfortunately, we don't have like, cinematic mode or anything crazy. The iPhone XS doesn't have it either. But the main problem with the iPhone X is that there's no 4K at 60 on the front. There's 4K at 60 on the back, which is pretty good. But unfortunately, we don't have like a crazy capability on this camera. I think for the iPhone X, for being how old as it is, I think it's decent. But the iPhone X's camera, it's starting to show its age a little bit. Now, with something like the iPhone XS, I do think it's kind of in the same suit. It's not extremely outdated. I still think it has a pretty decent, looking, camera. We have 4K at 60 on the back. We have 1080p at 60 on the front. So a little bit of an improvement there. But again, it's not anything crazy. But you can still get really good photos and videos out of both of these phones. But what I'm trying to say is I think there's more similarity than not. I wouldn't necessarily go from an iPhone X to an iPhone XS to have a better camera. I would go from an iPhone X to XS maybe for longevity, maybe a little bit of speed, but I wouldn't do it because of the camera. It kind of seems like there's way more similarities. From all the photos and videos that I've taken, they are very similar. So in terms of that, that covers it up there. To be completely honest, I think the iPhone XS is probably the better iPhone I would recommend between these two. I think the iPhone X is still a very good phone, and if you have an iPhone X, I would recommend keeping it. But if you don't have either one of these and you're trying to find the better one, the iPhone XS is the better one. The iPhone 11 Pro is the best one, but this is still a very good option for sure. It's a good upgrade coming from the iPhone X. However, if you still have an iPhone X, I would recommend keeping it. I would not go to an iPhone XS this year. It really doesn't make any sense. They're both supported with software. They both kind of have the same exact thing going on for them too. So it would make very little sense to go from an iPhone X to an iPhone XS. It would make much more sense to go from like an iPhone X to something like an iPhone 12 or iPhone 12 Pro, or probably an iPhone 13. That'd be better. But between these two, the iPhone X is the better one, but the iPhone X is still a very good phone for sure. So in terms of that, that covers it up there. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.